Good morning. Today, I wanted to first of all thank everybody who's coming out to report the crimes that were committed in this election. They are the people that are in charge of the oversight of the election, and they are working with very confused and lost people that um, today I really want to at least stay, I guess, focused in the belief that everybody's intrinsically good and that really nobody's maliciously doing anything, um, but that they're just lost and confused because I think that that helps me stay focused. I tend to, I guess, lose my temper a little bit and start using words that might authority would not approve of, and that I'm not necessarily, um, I guess, proud of either. So, okay, so I wanted to start by thanking them because I know that they're being very brave. I know that they are basically like in a tub of piranhas, being judged and criticized. And doubt is a powerful, powerful thing. Manipulators use it all the time, and actually, I'll get to that in a little bit when I talk about Joe Biden's his tactic, basically his biggest strength and his only skill is really to create doubt and his audience, in order to win their their favor and be influential over their lives. But I wasn't finished thanking the people that are doing this. I've been in that position. It's very difficult. It feels like you're alone because that is the whole point. It's you're supposed to feel like you're alone in this, but I think that the good thing that comes of that is that, hey, you are also going to get all of the rewards all for yourself, and God is watching. He's the person that's going to reward you for your honesty and for being brave and for standing up to what is going to be conducive to creating an atmosphere that welcomes him, that welcomes God back into this world, and that doesn't get him killed again. And that's why Advent is for every day, really. I mean, you don't know really when the return of God will be. And at the same time, you have to believe that when God says that you're not welcome into heaven, into this place that he's preparing for us because you never saw the people as you would him, you never saw the Jesus in them, that it's true. You have to believe that. That's also a huge factor. You don't have to experience Jesus the person to know that he left his presence here and that he could be inside of us, speaking through us, acting through us. Um, and yes, Satan is going to attack those people. So you might be attacked, and again, it is a spiritual war. I've been pretty good, at least, about maybe not watching my language, but I've been really good about keeping to myself and really, uh, I guess, through the um, uh, darkness is hold that faith and hope that beyond that there are still good people here, and um, it may not be manifested in the way that your ideals are. Your ideals might be, well, good people would believe in me and listen to me, and I mean, that would be great. That would be easy. This is heaven. I mean, that would be heaven, and I picture heaven that way. In heaven, it's going to be very just very tranquil, and everybody, it could be just like this, but just everything a little bit shinier and people just a little bit more um good, just like there is no Satan in heaven. He's kicked out of heaven. So just imagine that there's no temptation. There's if everything is good, no evil, no wicked. um and we are better equipped too, because in this world we are sort of put through the social machine. We are I guess ingrained to to behave a certain way based on who we are, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to get into that because that's not important. I mean, that's like subject of a much larger conversation that I think is more maybe for like the Department of Education to have with people that are serious, concerned parents and people that are interested in the future. Um, so the leaders today. So I think that I want to separate between um, because I started off by saying that I want to believe in the good naturedness of people. Um, I think that maybe what separates, say Republicans from the Democrats, and I I don't have a party per se. I want it to be an independent, but independent is not necessarily a party. Um, there's a warning when you try and select what party you are, um, informing you that if you pick a certain party, you may not be able to vote. So I kind of worried about it a little bit. At the end of the day, I do believe in the democratic process. And so I think that that's a moronic way to determine if you want to be a Republican or a Democrat. Well, I believe in the democratic process, so let me be a Democrat. That's kind of like, it's very moronic. You're not. Yes, it's a Democrat. It's a process. It's not a party. Anyhow, um, so I think I'm these days, and maybe for the longest time, but since I've been I guess exposing myself and informing myself as to what the Republican Party stands for, what their values are, how they shape their policies, that I decided that I'm more um, leaning to their side. And obviously, I'm a Trump supporter. I've said that. I'm supporting the race in Georgia. I really do hope that the Republican senators win again. I do believe that that this nation is going to be lost and go down the drain if the Democrats take over. And that's not to say that they're bad people. Let's not talk about bad people. I do think that certain behavior is less than ideal. Again, these are my ideals, and you know what? I criticize myself the same way. In anything that I judge other people on, I judge myself the same way. It's true. It's also it's a Bible verse. By how you measure others, you also shall be measured. Except, of course, at least I'm honest about it. There's people. I mean, this was more like a warning from Jesus. Like, Jesus, don't look at the needle in other people's eye and fail to see the beam in yours. Come on, come on, man. Okay, so I believe that. I believe that the Democrats have the wrong approach. They're children, because let's look at the main difference. Okay, so the Republicans are very realistic. Okay, the Democrats are very idealistic. They're based on ideals. They're based on and that's what they operate on. They operate on hope for the best, but don't plan for the worst. Hope for the best, but plan on blaming other people later when something really bad happens. That's our plan. Our plan is to. So the Republicans are very realistic. They understand the human nature, the condition that we're in, what we're susceptible to, and why we need boundaries, why we need checks and balances, why we need um, that. Rail guards, why we need to stay on track. And this is also how God guides us through that straight and narrow path, right? Is he he doesn't want us to go from like one end of the pendulum to the other. We're to stay very centered and very balanced. So Republicans understand that, and their policies are very realistic, and they understand that people are going to take advantage of other people a lot, all the time, if they can, because they have been through experiences, and now they just want to take it on other people. Misery likes company. They want other people to commit the same mistake so that they can feel good about themselves. um, that's what people are like, and Democrats applaud that. Okay, Democrats are like, yeah, like, this is true. And we're the majority. Well, if that was the case, there's also a significant amount of people in jail now that have committed crimes, like those people in control of the election. So why don't we just let all of those people out, okay, and put them in charge of the election? Because there's black people in there too that have committed crime. I'm sure there's a lot of black people that were in control of the election, and black people matter, right? So let's just let those people out. Their vote should count, right? I mean, is that what's next, right? No, okay, I didn't think so. But that's essentially what's happening. Is we are not holding people accountable, and with jail time, it's like a slap in the face to everybody in jail now. Like maybe there's people in jail now that are like, holy crap, look at the like we're just better off in here, like shit, we're in heaven in here. Look at what's going on out there. Like Jesus. I mean, you could find so many different arguments to just keep on the same track the Democrats are on, to just make excuses for people and just let them get away with things, that responsible, realistic people that know you have to hold people accountable with forgiveness and with a light hand, if possible, to to make sure that we all as one big group advance together. I'm not a believer in this in the gap between. I mean, I'm not a person that is for that, and I'm not like cynical about it, like well, they know how to make money, honey, or whatever. Sorry. I mean, they were smart. Let's give it to them, and that's not it. And there could be scummy people too. Obviously, you have to be a little scummy to, be grubby. But let's look at the consequences that the Democrats are going to have on our economy. They are trying to penalize people that have used their skills and smarts to get rich, and it's not our business to find out what they're going to do with it, if they're going to give it to charity or not. That's their own personal business. Besides, it's written in the Bible, you are not to to boast to other people about how charitable and how good you are. That's wrong. You're supposed to pray in secret, okay? You're not supposed to run on that. You're not supposed to demand information from from people that are obviously disclosing their wealth, have nothing to hide about it, but they don't have to post it to. And poor people have no right to hold it against anybody. That's wrong. It's wrong. When I've been in tough situations, I reflect on the Bible passage that God will provide. God feeds the birds in the air and clothes the flowers in the fields. And what more can he do for us that are made in his image? You have to believe that. And yes, again, Satan is always there when you try and be a good person. And tough, you just have to learn to mock Satan. I mean, if anybody's going to be mocked, it has to be Satan. It can't be God. But unfortunately, a lot of us are mocking God instead, because it's easier to do that, because Satan makes it really easy. And Satan's about the pleasures and making life smooth, and everything's going to be okay. God will forgive you. Well, it gets to a point where, come on, man. Okay. The thing. Okay. The thing is not kidding when he says that this world is going to go down the drain and to crap. Because a lot of people actually, the way things are going, if they keep going that way, again, I am trying to stay positive. I am a very positive person, and I'm going to be positive. And it's hard for me to see it, but it's hard for me not to, I guess, at least play the devil's advocate in this case, and bring to question in other people's conscience if they can still find it within themselves to cultivate one. that it's possible that maybe you deserve a president like Biden, that is basically is the only way there. I've actually figured out a formula for predicting his next move. Right, his next move is always based on what he wants to get away with. Blame other people first. Like he's like a chess player. He's like you know, one man up ship, like 10 steps away. And unfortunately for us, so for a normal person that is just, I mean, Biden takes advantage of that. He's not mocking Satan. He's on Satan's side when he's doing that. He's not thinking about what the consequences of his decisions have on the rest of us, because being poor and being, of little means, that's fine. You know what? Think of the Beatitudes. We're the poor, we're the meek, etc. We should be fine. Our leaders are supposed to be the people that are representing us and making the decisions for us that are at least going to keep us alive and thriving to the extent that we live comfortable. And I'm not saying comfortable like we have more than what we need. I'm saying we have what we need at the very least. But he's not, and he has investments in China that it's not he's been in politics for 40 years, more, 40 plus years. They're like a little like they can't snitch each other out because they're all complicit in their dealings. And any time that and any person that is a part of, and I mean, you have to be a little like sort of roughed up a little bit to understand this. And so I get it. Like I understand why people like from like living in their little bubble like don't understand it, or they feel dirty even just thinking of it. Like they just want to get in the shower and like take it all off. But you're being naive. I mean, at some point, it really just is about understanding and being realistic about what people are capable of doing. And they're not going to ask your permission. They're going to do it, and they're going to fool you into thinking it's something else and that it's okay, or that it was somebody else that was really the villain in the story. That's what bad people do to get away with crimes and fraud. It's conning. It's conning people. That's what Biden does. And again, he could be the greatest guy. He's a good person. Everybody loves him. Yes, Joe, if he wanted to con people, he's not going to make people think he's like a scummy slime bag. He's smarter than that. It's like, that's evil. That's like, and I'm going to want to get rich, and I'm going to want to do it on the backs of every taxpayer that I represent in this country. I'm going to invest with, he is basically, he's folding to the Chinese. He's not folding to Russia because Russia is gangster. Okay, Russia is like, they have similar Western values. They don't believe in they're not like hardliners, like fundamentalist. If you don't believe in our Eastern thoughts, we're gonna like do something really stupid like Pearl Harbor and drag you into war. Well, Joe is folding to China. Okay, he also has investments in China, and guess who else has investments in China? Everybody that watched China Boom would know. Everybody who's been following the investment, real estate development, business development in China, and that works for these private hedge funds, whatever they're called, private funding holdings, whatever. It's going to be a business that ends like in holdings or something like private, whatever holdings. So they are the people that know these are the investments that are being held in China. So there's a lot at stake for a lot of people that are counting on investments from China. And that's not what it comes down to. It comes down to the fact that we don't have the same values as them. And they are basically blackmailing us because now they have something that they could hold over our head, and not our head. I mean, not my head, at least. I don't benefit. Nobody benefits, but like that, those few that that AOC likes to talk about while she's like destroying the potential for like so many people that could have had a job in New York from a United States company. I mean, that's laughable. Take an economics 101 course, AOC. Seriously, like do it. Like don't even do it for you. Do it for like the people you represent, you know? Like this is wrong. The people that have money here and that are encouraged to create jobs here, those are the people that you need to be nice to. And those are the people that are going to create jobs, because that's what people need. People need to feel self-sufficient. They need to feel that they're a good resource, that they're relied upon, that they're not just like some waste that is just going to, you know, be put on crutches by Democrats with hand-me-downs and food banks. And make people feel worthy of themselves with the job. Be nice to people that have money here, not that have investments in China and they're already circling um, the United States, right? They have and I'm talking like I'm an expert in the military, but and I'm not, but I am like sort of, I've been around a lot of very scummy people. And if you broaden that same lesson from like the nuclear unit to like the, you know, to nations, or and you read the Bible and end times, as you would know, these people are not playing, okay? They're not playing. 9/11, these people are fucking crazy. They're crazy, and you have to be willing to be just as crazy or a little bit crazier if you're gonna be able to defend this nation and what was built over the length of, I don't know, what is it, 250 years, or I mean, well, 400 years for whatever else, you know, before it actually became an established official nation. So okay, so they have Venezuela. I mean, you know what, Mexico is you know, I'll just be like in between. They're like the Virginia of like the Confederates and the Union. Like, I guess at the end of the day, and this is actually what I observed yesterday in the Georgia debate. I mean, this guy was asked if he would support, packing the court, and he's like, I don't know. Well, it depends on what. It depends on who's waving more money at you to be able to decide. Why can't you have a decision about that now? I mean, how absurd and ridiculous. This is wrong. It's wrong. You don't do that. You have to have your values before you run for office. You're using people, you're using ignorant people that don't have anybody to educate them and don't want to be educated and want to just believe that if they put their entire life in somebody else's hands, that everything's going to be okay. That's wrong. You're taking advantage of children, knowing gosh darn well that you're not going to do diddly. You're not going to do. It's all about you. How dare you tell other people that it's about them? Don't be so infuriating. You're wrong. You know it. You're not necessarily examining your conscience, sir. And you need to, if you're going to be representing people in a beautiful state. Unbelievable. I mean, I hope that this the crimes that went on with the voting in the primaries are not going to happen again ever. And again, because of people like you, that I'm not going to judge whether you're good or bad, because that's what God is going to do. Maybe you deserve a leader like Biden. And if you create a war, because already in the LA Times this morning, Afghan needs more troops now because now the Taliban is taking over again. They're strengthening. Oh no! Guess who they're waving a bait to? Hey, Afghan, do you want to pay us to get Biden in so that we pretend that there's a war in Afghan so that we can send guys like whatever his name is that I just watched a documentary on, that was killed because he didn't support Afghan, maybe, right? Because he didn't support the bogus fucking war. I don't know what his name is. So it starts with the D. His last name. Michael D. I think. Okay, so So already there's a, you know, they're creating a market for favors. Like, hey, if you support our democratic agenda, we'll just go back to being the illusion of a government, and we'll just keep creating monopoly money to keep our own little poor peasants at bay. And then if something really bad goes on, you know, we'll just send them off. We'll even release people from prison to go and really then. But like, it's like, come on, like this isn't even like a playground fight anymore. Like this is like you're like blatantly ignorant, fucking like a fucking, like you're an animal, you know, like all barbaric and shit. Like what the fuck is wrong with you people? See, it's like I get taken over, seriously. Anyhow, this is wrong, this is wrong. People, like, I can see through it. Everything that you do has a consequence. Everything, every little action and step that you take, it, you can't go back to something that wasn't working, it was failing. You don't have these never-ending wars. Stop it. Stop. Make this nation better. Make it better. Why not? For, you know, let's compete on a true, like a real skill and merit basis, and at that worthy level of our human dignity. Let's do that. Let's see if the American system is going to actually cultivate more competitive, um, you know, better, you know, more intelligent, better skilled people than these other nations because of our system. Let's see that. We can't even see that. We can't even, they, and it's laughable, and they're laughing. Like every other nation that doesn't have this system and that is expecting us to fail because they're on Satan's side. Obviously, they're mocking God. They're mocking God because this nation was founded on biblical principles. It is a Judeo-Christian type of a system, and we are supposed to think of each other as brothers. And people that are in leadership are supposed to be the shepherds of other people that are eventually going to mainstream people to being in leadership positions. And that's another thing about the Democrats and the Republicans. The Republicans are very like local. They're very more into local leadership, which is important. When you have and anyhow, I'm not gonna. It's very it's too involved, and I've lost direction where I was going. But yes, and anytime I think that this was the most inspiring thought about getting on this morning, is that in order to predict what Joe is going to say next, is you have to think like 2 steps ahead where he wants to lead things and end up. So he wants to be the vice president he was under Barack. He wants to be able to bribe Ukraine and other nations. He wants to do that. He wants to do it and get away with it, but he doesn't want to admit that that's what he's doing. He wants to detract. He wants to make other people look responsible, which means he's going to he's going to set up. He's going to set other people up. So be careful, everybody. I mean, nobody's going to want to be in, like, nobody honest is going to be a part of his team. People that can have something on him are going to be a part of his team. You know, lobbyists of whatever company is going to be paying him so that they can get paid, and it's like their own little world of trash that has nothing to do with real life for real people. So anytime, so I don't know, I mean, it's hard for me to think like in terms of what really scummy people think, but this I do know is he's planning something now that he's going to come out and blame somebody else for now before he does it, so that when he does it, it's a simple formula. But I mean, get this, when he's already done that, then he's going to come in and he's seeing like the reaction that the other person has. He's going to have that. So he's always like flip-flopping reality. He's not living in reality. This is not how people behave. This is how somebody that is inspired by some satanic evil force is behaving. And if he's good, hopefully it examines his conscience and gets to that point. It's not for me to decide whether he's gonna come to heaven. I know that in heaven, that type of behavior is not tolerated. It's not going. It cannot possibly be tolerated. It's gaslighting. It's deceitful. Um, he's bringing to fruition everything that is written in the end times. The great deception, the abomination of desolation. I mean, the abomination of desolation is, and all of these are, these are our concepts. These are our abstract, types of concepts that affect people and that hurts God, because we're left alone. It's desolation. We're desolate. We thought that we could count on somebody, but that person was just gonna like blame somebody else one day for like all the taking a crap on us. Like he's like, and everybody's like just accepting it, because then what? I mean, what are you gonna do? Attack Joe when he's let you down? Is that the plan? Really? Why don't you just avoid it to begin with if you can already see all the signs? I mean, this is like domestic violence. It's domestic abuse. It's like we're like the battered, people of a nation by the man of the house that is just lying all the time to get away with what he wants in life. It has nothing to do. It has to do with creating, and you know what? Why is it a secret that he would be making deals with powerful and rich people that are going to create jobs? I mean, why don't they do that with Trump, since Trump is a capitalist, and since he's willing to make a deal that's is gonna be fair? I mean, do you think at least Trump is transparent and out in the open about it, and he holds himself accountable like a good person should. Um, he doesn't need anybody to hold something over his head to later like throw in his face, like, I believed in you, like that, like, bitter wife that like believed in her husband because he was going to provide, and then one day he didn't, and then the wife is like, well, throws it in his face. Stop. Don't. This is not your own little like fantasy, like, life. And if you wanted to be a part of what's a actual good nation, and have your own little family be a part of it, then it should be exemplary, and it should be about not throwing things into people's faces, because you're a grown person. You don't, when you make a decision, you make it on your own. You don't make it expecting anything in return, and you don't make it because you're not willing to own up to your end of the deal. And the fact that it's like that cheesy expression, fool me once, shame on you, and fool me twice, it's my fault, right? Shame on me. Well, it's okay. People make mistakes. Move on. Accept your own end of the deal. Don't and don't create this like vicious cycle at the national level. It makes me fucking sick. I mean, haven't we had enough of that in just our own upbringing? In some of the cases, like in mine, where there's unfortunately domestic abuse. I mean, these people, I mean, they're both good people. I'm not going to judge them either, but they're dumb. And I'm glad that they're not the people, or that their style is not how a nation is ran, or even a community, like much less a nation. But this is what I see. This is what's going on. You don't have that. Like, he already picked his wife with Harris, right? Like, it's sick. It's sick. It's disgusting, really. If you think of it, it's very nerve-wracking, really. It's making me nervous. This is it's all a plan. It's marketing, it's glossing, it's making people feel it's feelings based. It's not intellect based. It's not realistic based. It's not treating people like they're adults. They're gonna treat everybody like they're just, you know, children on crutches on the back in the back seat because they have to be driven around. They're just gonna fight about things all the time about whether they should bribe Ukraine, what they should do about China. Oh no, that's, well, guess who's gonna have to go and fight a war? Because we're going to be so desperate and need the money that, you know, so many people are going to be willing to go to the military. I mean, it's all a plan. These people are chess players. They're ahead. They're like way ahead, and nobody's putting the brakes on them. People need to believe in capitalists that we're capitalists, that are capitalists in our faces, in our face, like, you know, like we're adults and we can accept it, and we are going to demand all the fair labor laws that are actually already in place, and hold and hold corporations to it. And we're not going to care if people are making more than their share. We are going to demand that our Congress people, that the legislature create laws that incentivizes rich people to maybe have a tax shelter so that they're not taxed when they let some of that money go. This is what this system is about, is you're supposed to incentivize people that are rich to feel that they're still going to be in the position that they earned and worked hard for and merit, but not, and still be able to support the the well-being and welfare of other people beneath them that they do, you know, they might want to help, except why are they going to, how are they going to be in a position to help other people if they're not in a position, if they're in a position to? So people like all of my, you know, for example, in my case, I have an experience where I've been told that I only think about myself. Well, I mean, I know it's manipulation. I know they want me to bend over backwards. Well, you know what? No, because I'm already doing everything that I can. And if that's not good enough, it's just not good enough. And that's, I'm not going to cripple myself to, it's, I'll use another analogy. Uh, no, I won't actually, but I think I'm kind of done for today. But yeah, I mean, it's really a part of you know, it's sink or swim for people. And if we are on a boat and that boat only has a certain amount of capacity, um, I'm not gonna drown myself to save you. Um, I'm gonna help you swim so that you can get on the boat and help build the boat and make the boat bigger until it's like the size of Earth, and then nobody has to sink. I'm not gonna like, don't try and make me feel like I need to give anything up to feel sorry for you. This is what I was telling my kids is, you know, don't feel sorry for people. That's manipulation. That's what people want you to do, because they want to be able to then just like throw things in people's faces and do like this whole like vicious cycle bickering thing that maybe some of us see with their own ignorant parents that are like intellectually retarded and only base everything on emotion. So yes, you have to think about how to ensure that we all succeed and enrichen ourselves uniformly. It's a uniform thing. It's the union. It's uniform. It's universal. It's not about you. So I'm gonna finish now. I'm just gonna read from the Bible, and I like to just open it and see where it lands. So let's see. Okay, so I landed on Corinthians, but I landed on the introduction to Corinthians. So we're gonna read Thanksgiving. This is gonna be chapter 1, verse 3. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and God of all encouragement, who encourages us in our every affliction, so that we may be able to encourage those who are in any affliction with the encouragement with which we ourselves are encouraged by God. Okay. Little redundant, but that's okay. I mean, they have to be very thorough, right? They're talking to people that it's like legal language, like ironclad. Okay, I mean, come on, doesn't get more clear than that. For as Christ's sufferings overflow to us, so through Christ does our encouragement also overflow. If we are afflicted, it is for your encouragement and salvation. If we are encouraged, it is for your encouragement, which enables you to endure the same sufferings that we suffer. Our hope for you is firm, for we know that as you share in the sufferings, you also share in the encouragement. We do not want you to be unaware, brothers, of the affliction that came to us in the province of Asia. We were utterly weighed down beyond our strength, so that we despaired even of life. Indeed, we had accepted within ourselves the sentence of death, that we might trust not in ourselves, but in God, who raises the dead. He rescued us from such great danger of death, and he will continue to rescue us. In him we have but our hope that he will also rescue us again, as you help us with prayer, so that thanks may be given by many on our behalf for the gift granted us through the prayers of many. So yeah, no, I mean, this is basically, the other day I heard the darker the abyss, the greater the light, shines at the end of that tunnel. So it's the same thing, risks and rewards. No risks, no rewards. No, no pain, no gain. So this is very appropriate, is you do have to make your life a little bit less about instant, gratification and only pleasures, and work. It's so much more fulfilling to earn and work your way through life and feel able. So this is a good way, I think, to end. And so with that, hope everybody has a great week. Thank you.